Hey there viewers, my name is Torinski and welcome to a more random impromptu session of DCSS, where today we'll be jumping right back into a little bit of tournament play. I've been very much itching to get back to our Octopode here, but I definitely didn't want to do so off camera, so even though it's a little bit of a weird time for me, and I don't know how long we'll be able to stick on stream today, definitely wanted to pop on at least for a little bit, have some fun, and hopefully contribute a wee bit to our clan Riffling's regrets, because right now I believe we're 40th out of 113 clans or something like that, and that's with pretty much absolutely no help from me. That's very much my teammates just carrying me on their shoulders the whole way. So it'd be nice to pop on a little bit here while I have some time and am definitely wanting to play and hopefully contribute to that team score in some small way at the very least. So without further ado, let's hop back into it and take a look at where we left off, because we had just finished clearing out Orc 2 and had dipped our toes into Elf 1. I think, did we clear the first floor? Not quite, we just did a decent amount of work on the first floor before running into some troubles and maybe deciding that we should hold off for the time being, maybe power up just a wee bit before we continue on that route at the very least. And on that note, we have a few different options of where we might want to head, because Swamp, haven't checked out in the slightest. Spider, the only real issue there is Roxanne sitting right on top of the stairs, or at least in sight of the stairs, which with a unique like Roxanne is essentially the same thing. There's always the chance that as soon as we pop down, she'll just blink us close to her, and it's essentially the same as being right next door. On the other hand, we could also go back into the regular dungeon. We don't have any See Invisible still, right? Thought so. Perfect. Just wanted to double check that. So unseen horrors, vampires, whatever else we may come across with invisibility can be a bit of a pain in the butt. At the same time though, it could be a little bit simpler in some ways than the S branches, that is. The other thing that I will note coming back to the run is that we have pretty horrible willpower, so I'm hoping we can change that with some fortunate ring pickups. We have 3 full slots just completely open and rearing to be filled with something or another. So that would be a nice find early on here, is to potentially get some extra willpower, even some resistance to cold. I did remember just looking through that we have 1 more ring of positive energy that we might as well put on. Will probably be one of our first changeouts, because we don't need to be constantly running around with all 3 pips of resistance to negative energy, but at the end of the day it's also not horrible. We should maybe also take a quick peek into our what are these mutations here, largely just to re-evaluate all of the different mutations that we've gone from our loving god Zom. Fortunately, near to the end of our last one, we finally got rid of some of our negative strength, which means we're no longer in constant danger of passing out due to a lack of strength, because mixed with, oh, we also lost our I was going to say ability, but that almost implies a good thing, but we lost our feature or our property where we were losing stats, we were degenerating each time we took damage or had a chance to, and I guess that also played into our issues last time around, where we spent far too long at 0 strength. But that's all out of the way now, and instead we just have to worry about shouting uncontrollably, drawing more attention to us than we might otherwise want, and occasionally getting teleported next to monsters. But how's that any different from Zom just popping us around the map every once in a while, right? So, with that little summary out of the way, I guess I'll probably start us off today by heading up to Swamp just to take a peek. Down there, we unfortunately do have our main source of damage being a poison effect, which won't be super effective against a lot of the swamp monsters that we might come across. But if we're lucky, we should be able to make good use of it. And at the end of the day, we also have a decent number of alternative spells. We have our earth magic to fall back on. We have Irradiate now and IMB, so hopefully we should be alright in that regard. I also did make a few changes to our RC file. online here, so we're gonna see how all those shake out here. I guess the first being that our explorer is no longer instant. I was complaining about this last time because occasionally it's nice to have the option to stop yourself the moment you see your character exploring towards an undesired region of the map. So that was a nice change to pop on. So I'd like to also potentially give a huge shout out to Enon, our viewer, who helped me out a whole lot with some of the crafty things you can do on the RC file, that is. Oh me, oh my. And we immediately run into trouble. Our swamps here with Louise popping up. I would very much prefer not to be banished again. We've already been to the Abyss once on this run, and I don't think my poor heart could take it, especially considering the fact that we have no more scrolls of teleport. No more scrolls of teleport. So I guess we just start running. We are unfortunately slower than she is due to statue form. So this might get real rough here. Let's see if there are any other solutions or possible avenues that we could take. Unfortunately, off the top of my head, I don't think there were. We have one more scroll of fear, so we could try that. I'm guessing she would step away a little bit and then immediately turn around and come right back at us. Oops, tried to do the old right click again. That doesn't work on this version of the game. Silly old me. We're in banishment range. Oh. Phone hijacked my headphones. Let's just turn that off for now. Perfect. Well, I guess I'm just gonna cross my fingers. Ooh, and that blink from Louise is actually a lifesaver in many ways here. Oh me, oh my. Quite a wee bit to go still. So we'll slowly but surely keep taking steps in this direction. Yes, we will wriggle into this cloud of smoke. We're at least no longer slowed. Okay, but Louise is back in sight. Goliath Frog, which, oh, I should have kept going right. I'm an idiot. Okay, Louise, if you could just keep blinking like that, that would be fantastic. Okay, never mind. Turns out we're gonna be stuck here for at least the time being. We may as well switch on our statue form. And I'm just gonna be crossing my fingers and hope that Louise doesn't come down this way whatsoever. Ideally, we should still be okay. Okay, yep, there's no way to use this section of the map to come around to the south. Guess if we shift X, this looks like the only way we'll be able to sneak back to the entrance is maybe along this line somewhere. So crossing our fingers and hoping that some escape option shows up. Oof, that's not quite what I was looking for. I guess for the time being, we'll just have to auto-explore. Hope that nothing too dangerous happens. Oops. Let's try for a Petrify on the bog body. We don't have any cold resistance, so I want to be a little bit cautious and cognizant of that. Ooh, another bad boy here. Fortunately, didn't get the 71% chance, but we managed to kill the first one pretty quickly, so I will risk it just a wee bit. And, ooh, Apportation is actually a very nice spell to have in our book here. So, with just 2 spell levels left, I think I will learn that right away. That should potentially save us some trouble, especially if we end up going for something like the Abyss Rune, something silly like that, and just ninja it, yoink it out of the way, and not have to worry about it. Let's see, a bloated body. It's the best way to deal with you from afar. I'm guessing poison isn't gonna work. But I could be wrong about that. Yes, immune to poison. So I'm gonna try and sneak up just close enough for a stone arrow. Stone arrow, please. Perfect. Even though, unfortunately, that will create a decent amount of noise. And so I might try and take the first couple turns here to just sneak my way back along here. Please stop it, swamp worms. I don't appreciate that whatsoever. Alrighty, statue form is going to have to be enabled here. Let's maybe see if we can't petrify a couple of bad boys, take some of the work off of our plate. What about you, Tyrant Leech? You we can petrify. Let's take out the hookworm. I do kind of want to take out the Spriggan Rider because they are fast, so they will just continually chase us down. Guess yeah, we'll petrify this buddy. We didn't have this steel or iron imp here. I'd love to just LRD our petrified leech, but I'm a wee bit afraid of doing so. So I'm going to hope that the bog body freezes up right away or turns to stone fully. Perfect. And then can back up and we will make some noise. Actually, we will not because of my iron imp, right. So instead, just hope that we can take out this leech on their own, and then we'll start running. Maybe continue to petrify the bog body, hope that they don't throw too much cold our way. Jeez. That petrify doesn't last very long when we are moving this slow ourselves as a stone octopus. That's pretty rough. Okay though, managed to make it out in one piece, and this time around we're not spending far too many resources to do so, which I always like to see. That's a constant problem for me. Let's work off the slow here as well. Or I guess that is mostly due to our statue forms. Never mind on that. Or skills is not what I wanted to look at. We were gonna pop back into our overview and see if there's any alternative route that I desire to take here. I think my next favorite option is to dip into Spider and just try to sneak by Roxanne or get out of her line of sight. We should be okay in there in general between statue form and OTR, Ogleb's Toxic Radiance. We should be able to take out most spiders. The only issue being, as soon as we start seeing ghost moths, we might run into trouble. But we can head that direction for now. Statue form up. And head on down. Perfect. Roxanne decided to throw something at us instead of immediately resorting to the blink other close, so I'll happily take that. And let's start exploring, shall we? In general, we should be okay here. Again, all of the spiders are susceptible to poison, which is absolutely lovely for our build here. Happily take advantage of that. And we should be able to make it through most of these fights without too much trouble. Just need to be paying attention to my statue form, making sure that we stay in that. It is our only source of both AC and our interesting. AC and our poison resistance is what I was going to say before Zom immediately caused some potential issues for us, but all good. Fortunately, the toxic radiance that we emit works even on invisible creatures, so as long as they're not resistant to poison, we should be just peachy. I hit you with stone arrow as well? I can indeed. Perfect. Yeah, well, I normally might wait until we start a fight to activate statue form. Here, I'm going to do my best to be popping it on the instant it comes off, even when we're auto-exploring. Guess that's another small advantage of the non-instantaneous auto-explore, is we're able to see when our transformations end in the middle. Though I will say that that was another RC file that I was debating putting into effect for us, is the force more message, where we have to hit a key in order to progress on the end of transformations, or certain transformations at the very least. But we'll see how it goes for the time being, and we might resort to that at a later time here if I start to really find myself running into issues remembering to reactivate the transmutation. Okie dokie, a couple teleports, ain't no thing. We should be just fine to deal with that. do make a decent amount of noise, of course, when we fight, so we will be consistently and constantly drawing more enemies towards us here. That should be all fine, as long as most of them are squishy spiders. One demonic crawler isn't too bad. If we start to see a lot of them, it might be kind of rough, just because they are resistant to poison, or maybe even immune. Ooh, fortunately, these two managed to stagger themselves just perfectly. And it's funny, speaking of force mores and RC changes, I had debated also making it auto go through the stacked messages there when you have more than 5 messages at once and it forces you to press keys in order to get through them. You can actually completely prevent that from happening, which might be a good idea, specifically on a statue form creature, because especially once we get surrounded by monsters, we definitely find ourselves taking up a lot of text space down there just to do any motion, whether that be us taking a step that takes, you know, a turn and a half, or an attack that takes over a turn as well. We end up seeing a lot of actions from our enemies in the meantime. But for the time being, I kind of like having it remaining on, if just to make sure that I stay fully aware of our situation here. Oh, whoops. I'm accidentally casting IMB when I meant to be doing Stone Arrow. My mistake. Let's hopefully not do that in a more critical fight, shall we? Perfect. And this is exactly what I was hoping to come to Spider, despite some of the initial difficulties at the entrance, just because dealing with all the little buddies here, super straightforward with the OTR. It's one of my favorite areas to clear with any kind of Venom Mage for sure. Especially one with statue form on top of that. Let's see. I guess wolf spiders being one of the exceptions to the rule, because they will always hit pretty hard and are absolutely brutal. Ooh, and we pick up a ring of intelligence to continue to round off our slots, bringing us up to a total of 35 int. That's definitely not too shabby. Very happy to have that. That'll help out a whole lot with spell power in general, regardless of our training. And speaking of training, maybe I should pop into our skills here just to see if there are any changes that we'd like to make. Could turn off fighting for the time being, and in fact, I think I might, even if just to pop on a few levels of evocations. And set a target for that as well, just somewhere not too high here. Maybe we'll just go to 8 for now, see how long that takes. And I wanted to check out our spells, see if there was any specific spell school training that we might want to take part in here. So Radiate, LRD, IMB, these could all still increase in power here. Even statue form, I guess, which might be nice. So let us maybe train a wee bit more transmutations, at least on the back burner here, shall we? Bring that up to even just 12 for the time being, not too much of a change, but it might make a difference. Thank you, mutation, bringing us right to what I'm guessing is the only enemy left on the map. And now that we have gotten teleported close, let's take a look. I don't think I want to fight you, Roxanne. The Hoodib's crystal spears are just absolutely brutal. Jeez Louise. Well, what's the quickest way out of here? I guess it is probably to just head back up to the top here, hoping she doesn't blink us too much. Perfect. And then let's maybe head to the stairway before we get teleported again. I think that we have explored most of that level at the very least, so we should be okay. And here we go. We're double slowed thanks to the torpor snail here, which is always fun stuff. But just the two of these buddies together should be no problem. Perfect. Oh me, oh my. That teleport mutation is definitely going to get us killed at some point. But not today, right? As long as we get OTR radiating outwards, we should be able to take care of most of these spiders, no problem. I am hoping to not get confused by any of the tarantellas. But we will see how our luck fares. And that's so satisfying how quickly we can take out that entire crowd of spiders. No problems whatsoever. So we will continue to just, again, keep that radiance coming, keep the toxicity flowing. Fortunately right now, our enemies are blocking the Orb of Destruction, or the Orbs of Destruction that could come out from the Orb Spider. And in fact, this Orb of Destruction, I believe, is just going to hit the Torpor Snail, which I have no problem with. So I'm going to let that happen, making sure not to accidentally kill the Torpor Snail ourselves. Perfect. And so it continues, the hordes descending upon us here. It's funny, I was mentioning that we get a lot of these force more messages, specifically when we're surrounded by enemies. But even if we're just fighting one demonic crawler, we end up getting a lot of them just because they attack. I think it's 4 times per turn, something like that. Thanks, Zom, for the leather armor. Very much appreciated. Yeah, that's all that's on the floor. Perfect. Hate to turn down a god gift, but absolutely useless for us on this character, so is what it is. And that's not great. We've gone hit now with a Sentinel's Mark, which you don't love to see. And do we not have a stairway up anywhere? How's that possible? Oh, we got taken down to Spider 3. I see. Oh, I didn't even notice. That's great. Fun stuff. So we did at the very least manage to pick up one more scroll of teleport, correct? We did indeed. So I think what I'm gonna do is back myself into a corner, try to fight for a little bit, see how it goes, but be ready to just teleport out at a moment's notice, especially with an Emperor Spider coming up. That's not great. I can ask our ally here to immediately go toe-to-toe with that buddy at the very least. See how that does. And here goes. This might be brutal. At the very least we have, the distraction effect thanks to our Iron Dragon here. And Iron Dragons are quite a small summon, so hopefully Zom's generosity in that regard can keep us alive here. I'm very concerned, though, of ghost moths sneaking up on us. It's definitely not something that we are equipped to handle here. Okay, thanks, Zom. That actually wasn't too bad. Oh, but that is... We were just talking about you, friend. So we're already down to 0 magic power. Do have a number of potential solutions to this at the very least, though. Let's start with just some ice blasts. Trying to blast this thing out of the air here. Hey, Prince! Perfect, yeah, no worries, of course. Working hard and all that. But yeah, the run is going pretty well. We managed to find ourselves worshipping Zom, the god of randomness, off of a faded altar, so a mystery selection from the deities of the game, which has made this a wild ride and quite the adventure. But we're definitely having fun here and trying our best to keep our Roctopode alive. And that's very much being put to the test already as we're fighting our first ghost moth here with absolutely no way to handle it. was hoping that a series of ice blasts wouldn't have too much trouble taking care of it. And okay, they do eventually do the trick, which is good. And hopefully we can make it out of this, because even now we are in yet another tricky situation brought about by our main buddy Zom. Oh, that's dangerous? Very much so, yes. Zom, much earlier in the game, has already managed to throw us down into the abyss, which we were exceptionally fortunate to survive. But even that was only due to the sheer number of consumables that we just threw at the problem in order to get ourselves out of a bad situation. So we will see how the rest of the run progresses. Not that I'm too upset by worshipping Zom in general. It is definitely its own unique brand of fun, at the very least. What a joker, putting you into mortal danger for a laugh. Indeed, and in fact, laughs the more so, the more we put ourselves into these tricky situations. But in exchange for entertaining our favorite buddy, we do at the very least manage to gain some favor from them, and that will hopefully come about, manifest itself in some interesting ways. Because while Zom did just screw us over in many different ways over the last couple of turns, they also gave us a super late game enemy, the Iron Dragon, as an ally in order to get us through some of that trouble, or some of those troubling times. So, you know, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. See how it goes. In fact, now we find ourselves with a scroll of acquirement. So let's see what we can't eke out of this. Hat of Willpower is definitely calling out to me. That is one of the defensive capabilities that we're fairly short on right now. But we might as well check out the spell books, make sure we're not missing out on anything. The Vampiric Bardiche could be pretty incredible, but at the same time, we are relying on our shield. As an octopus buddy here, we don't exactly have the best defense, so I don't think I'm willing to part with an offhand shield at this stage in the game at the very least. So, that Hat of Willpower, it will be. Perfect. Switch it out for this Hat of Intelligence that we've been wearing. Get to feel a little bit dumber, but a little bit safer. And that's what's important in this life. Plus, it's a cute little fedora for our octopode friend to wear. And, holy cow, in a series of fortuitous events here, we also find ourselves with a Ring of See Invisible just in time for the next ghost moth that may or may not show up. So that's not too bad. In fact, oh my gosh, this is where all the rings of the game were hiding. We've had such issues trying to discover or to fill out all 8 of our tentacles with rings. And turns out the whole time, they were just snuck away into Spider here. So that's kind of nice in its own right. Is there anything I feel comfortable dropping? Unfortunately, I don't want to put too many things in this branch of the dungeon whatsoever because of the unique statue that's guarding the stairs up above. But I guess Wand of Charming can go. We don't really use those. And 1 Scroll of Amnesia. Yeah, we shouldn't need that at least for a decent while, so that should be okay. Giving us yet another ring here, and we will immediately put this on in exchange for one of our positive energy rings, giving us a nice, just all-round complement of resistances here. So that's not too shabby. And back upstairs we go to finish off this floor, hoping that we don't get teleported again too much. So I am, yeah, once again, feeling a lot safer with just the introduction of that See Invisible ring. That was one of our main concerns coming through this branch of the dungeon. Otherwise, we should be okay with just our mass poison damage. Though, of course, no promises. You never know how these things are going to turn out. Oops, that's no use here. And let's see if we can't take on an Emperor Scorpion by ourselves. Ooh, with that Petrify working at a 56% chance, that is fairly promising at the very least. Can even follow it up with at least one of these fancy LRDs. And then back to stabbing. Making sure we have enough magic here to deal with any of the spiders that come up. I actually should have been saving my magic points a little more consistently, just in case we lose our statue form in the middle of a crucial fight. But we'll have to just keep dealing with the troubles as they come, because unfortunately, we also have to kill things. Oh my gosh, another Sentinel's Mark. Oof. Had a couple of these hitting us already here, which you don't love. Just a bit brutal to deal with, and especially with a bunch of spiders and a ghost moth showing up. Spiders aren't too bad on their own, especially with the statue form effect, or in effect. But as soon as they also have Berserk, things start to get a little bit messy for sure. Ooh, combined with a web as well. Oh. But we did eventually make it down. Okay, never mind. We are all good. Then we can just hope that we don't draw too much attention on this level instead. Perfect. Okay, just you, friend. So we can handle just you. Perfect. Oops, need to go back here after I do that self-moderation. Perfect. At the very least, with our Demon Trident and statue form, can go head-to-head with pretty much anything in the dungeon, which is fairly impressive. I guess anything at this stage in the dungeon is an important caveat to add on there. Seeing as how there are plenty of problematic creatures that we have yet to encounter, I'm sure. Fortunately, we also have found another one of our upstairs, so we can head up to a potentially safer place than the one that drew everybody to us with the Sentinel's Mark. It would be nice, I think Zom is doing that. Maybe sometimes it's traps as well, of course, but... Oh, jeez Louise. Immediately get distracted from anything I was about to say with the appearance of another unique. Arachne's pretty tough. We at least have infinite poison resistance thanks to Shadow Form. But that's a lot of health. And she hits pretty hard too, don't get me wrong. Actually, what's her willpower isn't amazing, so we could potentially get a Petrify off. 57% chance actually isn't too bad whatsoever. So I am willing to attempt that at the very least. And in fact, let's try it again here. Please, please, please. Perfect. Now, do I use the petrification to run? Or do we try fighting this one out? I think that we could potentially take her with a nice mix of poison and petrify. Of course, making sure that we're always in our statue form here. I should check again. Yeah, she's definitely not resistant to poison. Oh, wait, but she is. I'm a fool. When somebody's holding a staff of poison, it gives them poison resistance. So that is an important thing to keep note of. Let's not be so foolish as to continually waste mana on that. Here we go. I mean, the fight's going well so far. Don't get me wrong. In fact, as long as we keep lucking out with those petrified chances, we should be absolutely okay. Okay, almost dead, but not quite. Oof, that's gonna hit us. Where did Arachne go? Please, I'd like you to come back while you're still weak. Perfect. Kind of hate it when you finally get through a fight far enough to squishen up, I guess, one of these uniques, and then they immediately just chain blink out of there. But maybe this time we can finish it off once and for all. Yeah, you know, we'll even throw in an IMB just to deal some guaranteed damage. Step up to the Orb of Destruction so that it actually deals slightly less damage. Its damage is largely based on the range that it flies before making connections, so that is a strange mechanic, but definitely an important one that you can always step towards those to try and prevent yourself from taking too much damage. And we find ourselves yet again at the mercy of another unique. Agnes here. We should actually be able to fight. I don't love that she has a vampiric Lajitang that will cause some issues if we're having issues getting past her extremely high evasion. But the one nice thing about that is as long as our toxic gradients can hit her, that's completely undodgeable in every single way. As is our IMB effect that blasts out around us and hits everyone. And even our irradiate if we have to resort to that. So we do have a few different options in the old spellbook here. In fact, let's throw out one of these irradiates. Of course we fail it. Wouldn't have it any other way game. So let's try that again. Perfect. Second time is in fact the charm. There we go. 2 decently tough uniques out of the way here. And 7 boomerangs as a gift from the almighty Zom. Thanks, bud. What else do we get? Some more mutations on top of that as well. We have more iridescent scales. So now even, or was this, I guess not even, but specifically when we're not in statue form, we have an extra 6 armor class, which isn't horrible. But I will say that statue form is far and above a better defensive maneuver, so probably stick to that instead of relying on our iridescent scales. I guess the other mutation that we got there was to increase our camouflage ability. So that does give us a decent stealth score. I'm actually kind of curious now if that's affected by statue form, so we can quickly check that out. It is not, so that should at the very least help us to avoid some potential fights that are, let's say, too risky to take. Oh my gosh, Zom, please stop. Just keeps popping us all around the map. I mean, this level's at least completely explored, so it's not like we're really risking anything in our journey around the level, but it is a little bit of a pain in the butt. And there we go. Read an identify scroll and discover that we do have 4 potions of brilliance. They are super powerful as of the last update of the game, but I think it was mentioned last time around that they now come with a pretty significant downside of reducing your willpower in half. So we'll have to be a little more cautious about when we pick and choose to use that or not. And geez Louise, we have too much stuff, don't we? Constantly having to go back to our inventory and just drop a few things. Should remember also that I do have Curari tipped darts, because that very likely could come in handy in our future.